Hey guys, Tina here and welcome to another video. This time around I'll be reviewing The Tower Lord by Anthony Ryan. This is book 2 in his Raven Shadow trilogy, and while this video will not contain spoilers for this book, it might spoil Bloodsong, which is book 1, so proceed with caution. Turns out that Tower Lord is quite different from Bloodsong. For one, the scope of the world is a lot bigger. We get to explore the parts of the world that we have only heard about before, so we get to go there and see the life there, I guess. And it was really interesting because all these parts have different cultures that we get to explore now, and because of this huge scope that we are now faced with, we also follow more than one character, because in book 1 we only have Valen's story that we follow, but here we have 4 POV characters, and we know 3 of them from Bloodsong, but there's one new one, and she's called Reva, and she's a really interesting character, and I have to say that a few of her first chapters, where we first meet her, were really actually sort of humorous, although she was pretty serious and all that, but I really enjoyed them, and later on her story does get a lot more serious and dangerous, but yeah, she was a really enjoyable addition to the cast, which is again huge. There's so many characters that you sort of have to follow, and luckily there's a list of characters at the back of the book, so you can sort of check and see where you have to place some of them if you do forget. Because of this division of the book between these 4 POV characters, and as well as the fact that the world is so much bigger and characters are more spread out, we do not get to see the camaraderie that we got in the first book, and I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't quite enjoy this book as much as Bloodsong. There's also a lot of politics and fighting in this book. This is a wartime now, so there's basically very few chapters in which you do not get to see fighting and bloodshed and death. And there's also a lot of information from different parts that you have to put together as characters are figuring things out, and one character figures out this and it connects to what the other one sort of figured out, and you have to put these pieces together, and there's not a lot of time for you to catch your breath and just take a little break, I guess, except if you close the book and do that. We also get to see a lot more of these creatures that are plotting in the background and pulling the strings and sort of forcing our characters into these situations that they do not want to be part of. And especially one of these characters that we follow was, his chapters were a bit hard for me to read because of this. And I'm not gonna go into details, but if you're gonna pick this book up, you're gonna find out really quickly what I'm talking about. I also came to realize that Anthony Ryan put a lot of foreshadowing in book 1 that I just didn't pick up on, and now things come back and you realize, well, that was a lot more important than I thought, because things happen and you take them in, but you do not pay that much attention to them. So yeah, now looking back now, there's a lot of that, and I missed quite a big chunk of that actually, and I'm sort of, even now thinking back, I'm really loving book 1 even more now, so that is good. I want to touch upon 2 more things. So the first one is diversity. These books are so very diverse, and I personally never read a fantasy book that would include so much diversity. I'm talking about race, social standing, culture, as well as sexuality. It's all it's all in there. So as I mentioned, these books are really for everyone, and I know diversity is really a popular subject right now in booktube, and as it should be, it is important. And people sometimes complain that fantasy books do not include these things, and this one does. So, if you're into that and you want to see a really diverse cast of characters, these books are perfect for you. And the last point that I want to make, these books have so many powerful female characters, which is another thing I think that is sometimes lacking from fantasy books, that they do tend to, focus more on male characters, but really, there's so many great female figures in these books, and I really enjoy them all. You have Lyrna, who is, a princess and a future queen, and she's really smart, and she's really a great strategist. And then you have Reva, the new character that I talked about, and she's a young girl who was raised in seclusion, and she has been taught things that are not necessarily true, and she was also taught how to fight, so she's a great fighter. And now that she's sort of unleashed into the world, she realizes that a lot of what she has been taught was a lie, and she is experiencing new things, and it's really great to see her spread her wings. And then you have the Voka, which I might be pronouncing completely wrong, and she's from a culture that is really liberating for women, I think, and yeah, there's a bunch of others, and I really enjoyed reading about them all, which is a rarity because usually I do sort of relate better to male characters, and it was such a pleasure actually enjoying female characters as much as I did. So again, this is it for this review. I do have to say that I enjoyed this book slightly less than Blood Song. It was still really great, but I think that I was just sort of surprised by, you know, how it was formatted and all that, at least at the beginning. And yeah, despite that, I do really love it, and I'm still enjoying this trilogy very much, and I do recommend it. And for those of you that managed to watch this video, thank you for that, and see you in the next one. Bye!